For those of you running a business in this tough cost of living environment, what's happening with your customers is something worth worrying about. After all, consumer spending is one of the major drivers of Australia's economy, but that's going to slow down significantly this year. The surge in interest rates and high levels of inflation are expected to lead to a big fall in consumption growth, which isn't good for business. Despite that, Treasury reckons the outlook for business investment should be relatively positive due to a large pipeline of construction projects. But that's mainly from the non-mining industries, since the mining sector already had their big spending spree years ago. With that in mind, what this budget is offering for businesses is rather slim. Take the instant asset write-off, for instance. This incentive was a lot more generous back when COVID first struck. But now, you're only allowed to make an instant tax deduction on assets that cost less than $20,000 each, so not enough to cover a ute. And it only applies to businesses with less than $10 million in yearly turnover. But there are better incentives for businesses that are behind on their taxes. So if your business tax bill was due between December 2019 and February 2022, and you still haven't paid it, the ATO won't fine you if you lodge your taxes by the end of this year. But that only applies to small businesses with turnover of less than $10 million. Treasury reckons this will increase tax receipts by $718 million over 5 years. There's also a green energy theme to this year's business offerings. So if you run a business and you're trying to save on your power bill by buying things like energy-efficient fridges, electric heating systems, and battery storage, you'll be able to deduct an extra 20% of the cost of those items, though that's only for businesses with turnover of less than $50 million a year. Meanwhile, there are some incentives for startups. The government says it will spend $390 million over 4 years to help startups commercialise their ideas and grow their business, as long as it relates to net zero, renewables, and low emissions technology. All up, considering the main focus of this budget is to provide targeted cost of living relief without boosting inflation, these measures for businesses are quite modest. But the government couldn't exactly leave them empty-handed.